For 40 years, thousands of people in Taos, New Mexico heard a sound no one could find, and the official explanation fell apart the moment anyone checked the math. In 1992, residents of Taos began reporting a low-frequency rumble, not a noise, a feeling, a vibration that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once. Within months, hundreds of people had filed complaints with local authorities. By 1995, the count had climbed to over 2,000. The sound persisted. It didn't follow traffic patterns. It didn't correlate with industrial activity. Most people heard it indoors. At night, when ambient noise should have masked any external source, the standard explanation emerged quickly. It was mass hysteria, or worse, the audio equivalent of a hoax. But that diagnosis came from people who'd never actually tried to locate the source. The decision to investigate came under pressure. Taos officials couldn't ignore 2,000 complaints without facing political cost. So in 1995, they contracted a team to measure the phenomenon. What they found was concrete, a low hum between 31 and 56 Hz, stronger indoors than out and clustered in a specific geographic zone. The sound was real, measurable, but the source remained hidden. That's when the explanations multiplied. Power lines, underground military bases, secret government experiments. Each theory had one fatal flaw. None of them matched the data they'd actually collected. Power line hypothesis was the easiest to dismiss. Taos's electrical grid operated at 60 Hz, not 31. Engineers knew that. The military base theory required assuming a technology capable of projecting acoustic energy across miles without any detectable infrastructure. The cost of keeping that secret would be astronomical, and for what? To harass a town of 8,000 people in northern New Mexico. The decision tree didn't make strategic sense. Someone was missing something. Enter Dmitri Beamish, a researcher who decided to approach the problem differently. Instead of guessing, he mapped every reported occurrence. He interviewed witnesses systematically. He took measurements at different times. What emerged was a pattern. The hum was loudest in homes with specific architectural features, certain wall configurations, particular window alignments. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from the residents themselves, or more precisely, from their environment interacting with their bodies. Beamish's hypothesis, infrasound, frequencies below the threshold of conscious hearing, typically under 20 Hz, can cause physical sensations, vibrations in the chest cavity, resonance in the inner ear, a feeling of presence or dread. What if natural phenomena were generating these frequencies, wind patterns across the landscape, seismic microtremors, atmospheric pressure shifts? The cost of this explanation was humbling. It meant Taos wasn't special. It wasn't being targeted. It was simply unlucky enough to sit in a geographical sweet spot where multiple natural forces converged. But Beamish's model didn't explain everything. Not all witnesses were equally affected. Some people heard nothing. Others reported the sound for years, then it stopped. If natural infrasound was the cause, the effect should have been uniform across the population. It wasn't. That inconsistency opened a second loop, individual neurological variation. Some people's auditory systems are simply wired to detect frequencies others can't. It's not a hoax. It's not mass hysteria. It's biology dealing with physics in ways that don't follow the rules of democratic experience. The real explanation, and this is where the strategy shifts, emerged around 2003. Researchers identified a candidate source, low-frequency acoustic waves generated by wind patterns interacting with the Rio Grande Gorge, just miles from Taos. The gorge's specific topography acted as an acoustic amplifier. Under certain atmospheric conditions, wind would create standing waves. These waves would propagate through the ground and into buildings. Residents with sensitive hearing, living in homes with particular resonant frequencies, would experience the phenomenon most acutely. The decision to accept this explanation cost something. It meant acknowledging that Taos wasn't mysterious. It was just acoustically unfortunate. Not everyone accepted it. Some residents continued reporting the hum into the 2010s. Were they hearing something new, or was the explanation incomplete? The strategic reality: once a mystery becomes explainable, the public loses interest, funding dries up, research shifts elsewhere. The decision to close the file on Taos, to declare it solved, served institutional interests, not necessarily truth. The hum might still be there, we simply stopped looking. What Taos teaches us is this: mysteries aren't solved by finding a single answer. They're solved by mapping the decision landscape. Who benefits from the mystery remaining unsolved? Who pays the cost of investigation? What data gets prioritized and what gets ignored? The hum was real. The explanations were plausible. But the true mystery was always about why we chose to believe one story over another. Subscribe, there's a new unsolved case every week, and each one reveals more about how we construct certainty than about the case itself. Subscribe, there's a new unsolved case every week, and each one reveals more about how we construct certainty than about the case itself.